Hello, Facebook Live. This is Alexandra from Olenko's Kitchen, and today we have a returning guest. Hello, Isabella. So 5D and beyond with Olenko's Kitchen and Isabella Greene. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
A little tired for the last 2 days, but we're gonna be talking about this. And how are you? Hot?
Well, it's warm,
Yeah.
definitely. And yeah, a lot of people are experiencing energetic stuff that's related to the celestial event that we're
Hmm.
approaching. The energy started yesterday already. But before I start talking, I want to make sure that it's visible on my
Sure.
page what we're doing here, but I'm not seeing it. So just 1 second. Guys, here, technical. It's like chick with car. It's the same thing with me on Facebook Live. I still don't. I don't have the tag for some reason. Okay, so let me see if I can see it on your page.
If you go to Olenko's Kitchen, then you can share it
Yeah, I'm
from there.
looking at that right now. 1 second. Something says, hold on a second. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right, so hold on, let me just share that.
Sure.
Share. Oh, I love this.
I put it a galactic background for you.
I love this background. That looks so nice. Okay, that should be visible now. Once again, taking a look. Yep, there we go. All right, so we we are rolling here. All right, girl.
Okay, awesome.
There we go.
So I have a few
Okay.
questions, but do you want to talk about the eclipse first and why we're feeling
Oh,
tired?
yeah, I just started sharing. You mentioned that you were tired,
Hmm.
and so I started sharing that. Um, personally started experiencing uh, symptoms or the sensations. You know, when the celestial events approach, a lot of people experience different things. And I'm not into astrology, so I'm not really know about all of the astrological background to the solstice, or not solstice, the solar eclipse that's coming on Tuesday, but I'm more like how to deal with it
Hmm.
kind of person. And so I started observing that yesterday already. All of a sudden, I'm thinking about things like from my childhood that I have never thought about, or stuff just coming up uh, from the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. And I've done a lot of energetic and emotional clearing already on myself. So um, mine is very minor, but I'm noticing that that's showing up. And if that's showing up, that means it's an invitation to clear so we could move into the next level. Everyone moves into the next level, regardless of where they are. The people who are not really very emotionally processed uh, experience and are usually experiencing intense symptoms. Symptoms are more intense. The less clear, the less processed you are, the more, the stronger the symptoms. And so fatigue is very common. Uh, Emotional outbreak, irritability is very common. Feeling out of sorts is very common, out of focus. Um, for me personally,
Hmm.
I'm noticing in my meditation, like, why am I thinking about this? So I guess I need to look at this in my own experience. Luckily, I've done so much work that mine is pretty gentle nowadays. But yeah, being tired is normal at this time. And you're not the only one. A lot of people are noticing that the energies are already here. We're in the gateway. They're saying that it's Syrian gateway, that the connection with Sirius is getting more serious. And I saw pretty much every session that I did this week, this past week, or this week until today. was all related to interactions with the Syrian races and Syrian guidance and all of that. So, yeah, you feeling tired, that's a part of it. You're feeling the energy. So we'll talk for an hour, right? Like
Yes.
you said. And yeah, I normally, like, anything that goes over an hour, I'm like, no, I can't deal. An hour is plenty. I feel, let's just see if we have any questions I can answer.
Yes, and I think, you know, then I can have you back another time because, you know, I always have questions for you. So first, this questions comes a lot, and after the last interview, people were asking, let's talk about past, present, and the future. So it doesn't exist; it's only the present. Like, you know, what's going on? Because
how to deal? Well, this is a very timely question. I actually. Yesterday, was it yesterday or the other day, I had a session where I accidentally, accidentally meaning I don't channel the saints. I only channeled Saint Germain once in my entire experience. I interact with cosmic races in sessions too. I channel cosmic races in sessions. But here, Saint Francis came in, which is funny. And he talked about the past, because the client that I was working with is really now digging into her past and remembering on all of her childhood trauma and everything, and, you know, like through standard type of therapy, that's what they do. And the guidance that came in from that same dimension was very interesting. I will translate it into modern terms. So pretty much he said, take your focus off of the past, otherwise you will keep recreating the past. Otherwise you only have access to the past. The brain is just a recorder. It cannot give you anything new. It just keeps repeating the old stuff over and over, and we're focused on the old stuff. We are unable to move forward. And this now, the opening, the eclipse gate or gateway is the movement into the new. And then he said, or the channeling said, use the information that you get from the past as a database to understand, or database of information to understand how you're creating your future or your present, because majority of people create their present from the subconscious space and keep recreating the same patterns over and over, and not even aware of that. That's the unawakened or unconscious way of creating things. So that came up, and basically the past is just a set of props to understand of how to deal with the present moment, and then focusing on the present moment continuously assists us to direct ourselves better, so we stop recreating stuff from the past, or from past traumas, from old energetic imprints. All of that plays a role in our. And so when we understand that we're the creators of our reality, taking that information from the past out of the blind spot is always very useful. So I might have just deviated into what I do here. What exactly did you mean by like the past? What exactly did you want to look at in the past?
I mean, because it's like other reincarnations, or like if you deal, you know, you do the entities removal, but you also look at other reincarnations. So like if we were, you know, either Cleopatra or whatever, I don't know, Caesar and whatever, like
Right.
it's in the past. So no, it's not like in quantum, it's happening actually now. So
Yeah.
where is this past?
Well, the past is a set of stories, basically, you know, and everything expands from the present moment. The present moment carries infinite amount of connections to other present moments that are happening simultaneously. In one of these, you might be Cleopatra, like you said. In a different one, you might be Caesar or whatever, or you might be a farmer somewhere in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't matter. But all of these things are interconnected, and all of these things are feeding into the present moment. So when you change the present moment, for yourself, when you start making different choices, when you change your frequency, when you raise your vibration, when you do the emotional clearing work in the present moment, you influence all of the timelines that are connected to your present moment, which might be considered the past. And the same thing from the past, because we actually can communicate, interact with, and heal any aspect of ourselves on any timeline within that infinite soup of reality that consciousness is. That consciousness is. That's where. All right. So does this take you anywhere? Does this answer the question?
No, it's great. I after doing the galactic Cassiopeian connection with you. After that, I've done a lot of hypnosis, and
Oh,
I'm
really?
no longer have allergies. So allergies were gone. So we work on that. It
Nice.
was amazing. I last week I finished the job, so I'm free. So I'm moving along with my stuff. So this is what I want to talk about, like healing. So when people come to you and they want to heal, and then they have different issues, like, so you work on ancestral baggage, like bloodline, like stuff from childhood. But I just feel like sometimes from my own healing, I feel like sometimes people identify themselves like with the victim, like maybe, oh, I was
Yeah.
abused in the childhood, like by my parents or whatever. And that's why I feel like sometimes the regular psychotherapy may not work, because people go like every week they lay down on the couch and they reliving going back to
Yeah.
the past. And like what you do, and I think what hypnosis did for me, it was phenomenal, because they actually like went to the root, and we found the problem and we fixed the problem, and then we reprogrammed the mind, which I know you
Right.
love. Joe Dispenza, like Bruce Lipton, they talk about this, how the environment, and we can change our, like, reprogram their mind. We have to take something out and put something in, otherwise we're gonna have the same stories. Like, that's what I'm
Right.
going back about the past. So what's your point, what's your perspective on that?
Well, I definitely support that 30 years of therapy talking about the same issue takes people nowhere. And I also know that half of healing is becoming aware of how we're operating, and all of that goes back to childhood. So I genuinely give an exercise during the sessions, or for the ones who need it. I give an exercise finding the match between the emotional state in childhood and emotional state in the present day. And after that, I believe that through meditation, you can assist yourself and shift yourself in a different state of being completely. And I developed this process and I follow it myself. And I also offer it to my clients. And it does not take 30 years of talking about the same thing. As a matter of fact, the less you talk about it, the better, because again, where we recreate from the point of focus where we are focused at, that's we're going to experience more of the same here. So this is very, very clear. And the main part of awakening, or what's called awakening, or becoming, is moving from the state of a victim into the state of creator, being the owner of your experience, understanding that, yeah, we had some influence before we recognize that we had that influence. And after we do, we have an opportunity to make choices that are different than the choices that were coming from the blind spot.
I see a lot of people saying hi. Somebody's asking, do Cassiopeians wear gems? I saw a huge ruby or garnet square ring. Does it make sense? Of course. I mean, I feel like if you're attracted to something, yes, no matter like what you are, like just follow your bliss, follow your joy, follow your passion. What do you think so that was my other questions. Now these days, so many people like channeling. When you go on YouTube or whatever, you see all these people channeling different beings, and it can get confusing, like with diets. When people come to me as a health coach, like, what diet is good for me, I'm like, always, follow your own intuition, because it's like, yeah, the information sometimes can be contradicting even. So what do you say about this, when like you give somebody connection, and like, what's next?
I don't know what you're asking as far as what's next, but I know that I only started channeling recently, over, I don't know, less than 6 months probably I'm channeling. And before that, I used to just call that higher aspect to do an activation for us. And then I noticed that they want to say something. And they want to share the message for the clients after the activations, meaning, oh, we just reconnected your DNA back, that dormant DNA that we all carry. We all carry DNA from all over the galaxies, not only this galaxy, from many different galaxies. And so when we reactivate the DNA, we get the new abilities that are available to us through that DNA reactivation. And very often the exact cosmic representation of that DNA would speak and share. And I've observed that that has been very accurate for people who are in my sessions. But I don't just share channel just to channel, you know, just to talk on YouTube. So
no, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, you know, like other people. I just feel like it's getting very popular now. Everybody's, you know, I'm not talking.
Yeah, and
I'm talking about discernment, like where, you know, how do we discern the information, you know, because, yeah, there's a lot of sources. What's the truth? Is there absolute truth?
Oh, I think it's true for every individual person separately, because every individual person is connected to their own timeline. And so whatever matches their own timeline is their truth. I think we have how many 8 billion different truths on this planet, you know, because, yeah, if you look at it, if you look at yourself or your neighbors or me, we all live in our own separate worlds in a way, but at the same time, we're sharing consciousness as humanity at large, if humanity overall, you know. So yeah, following that feeling that whatever feels right. Sometimes I would open something on YouTube and be like, well, or something with, a lot of people send me stuff. I'd be like, oh, you have to see this. And I'd look at it. I was not drawn to it myself, but sometimes I would open it and be like, ooh, you know, that totally does not resonate with me. And I do not need to see it. If it didn't come through my own selection, which means I'm matching the energy here or my own state of being with what kind of material is out there, then it's not for me. And it's the same for other people. Exactly. You know, if you are coming across something and it resonating with you, and it feels good when you start listening to it, then it's yours. And it doesn't matter if everyone else says that that's wrong. It matches your frequency at that present moment. And you might grow out of it in a while, you know, like Bashar, for example. I used to listen to Bashar 24/7. For the first couple of years, I was going through this awakening process. Now it doesn't do anything for me anymore, you know, because I just recently listened to, I think someone sent me something, you have to see it, and I started listening. I was like, that's all old information. But firstly, secondary, I don't resonate as much. I mean, he's accurate and he's right, but my mind is elsewhere. My state of being is elsewhere now. So yeah, just feel into it, see what works for you. And if Ruby feels good, yeah, go ahead, wear whatever feels good. If it makes you happy. Joy is the frequency that gets us into higher dimensional states. So you know, if it feels good, let's do it.
And I mean, that's what you do. You stay in meditation. That's how you connect yourself, you know, with, you know, you find like your peace, and then you connect with the beings when you're working with clients. So I feel like there's no better time to, yes, the diet is very important, everything is very important, but I think like going within, this is like the most important time, because the eclipse, we, you know, the 5D, people calling the event or whatever, the beyond, the cosmic, whatever people are saying. What do you think? That meditation is the key to?
I'm kind of like a meditation doctor, because for every anything that people ask me, how do I do this? How do I fix that? How do I, for me, it's like always meditation, because I know that meditation changed my life. It gave me access to my own self, to my own health and well-being and abundance, and also to what's now considered supernatural abilities. I'm actually experiencing a whole array of different abilities that I did not experience before, or they kind of build upon themselves and expand and grow. And the next video I'm going to put up online on YouTube, I already recorded it, next week, is about supernatural abilities that I myself now have, which I never used to have and never even suspected that it's possible. And that matches the strands of DNA that we activate. So every person carries a set of abilities that are matched within themselves through the DNA strands that are dormant inside of them. And so people all have access to supernatural abilities, but they do not all have the same supernatural abilities, because the supernatural abilities match the DNA strand. So you would be leaning towards something that is activated within your DNA that's related to a specific cosmic race. I don't really exactly know my own specific cosmic race. I know I'm connected to the whole array of things, and so I have a whole array of different abilities that are coming on. And so my interest now in meditation as well, can I teach myself, or can I experience other things that I have not done or experienced before? And it's happening more and more. Like when we did our session, you and I don't think I was channeling back then, was I? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't remember that I was channeling for you, and now I'm channeling for people. And then also, I just recently had an experience where I finished the meditation at night, and then I got up. It was still dusky, kind of dawn. What, dusk? No, not dusk. Dawn. So it was like earlier. Early in the morning when the sun is about to come out, so it's kind of grayish outside and in the house. And I walk around and I close windows in my house after the meditation, so it doesn't get so hot in the house once the sun comes up. So I did that. I came back to bed, and then I noticed that I still have my mask on, so my eyes were completely blocked or closed, but I could see very clearly everything that was around me in the windows, and I walked from room to room, and I had no idea that I still had the mask on. So the third eye, while I was experiencing this, was called supernatural vision. So the third eye was on for actual vision, while the physical eyes were closed. I have the same thing with the ability to smell. I call it psychic smell. And there are a whole bunch of other things that I've recently just realized that are happening. And I'm within my own reality. I'm like, yeah, that's just normal, whatever. But yeah, I'm now curious, can I develop, or what else can I develop by choice as far as this kind of abilities? It's fascinating, I think. So I'll share a little bit of that in my next YouTube video.
That's awesome about you, not knowing that you didn't have, that you were seeing in the dark.
My eyes were closed, and then I walked around with the mask on and could see very clearly. It was a little gray, but I was thinking, well, it's a little gray because that's the daylight kind of, day is just beginning and sun is not up yet. So yeah, it's a little different spectrum of vision. It's not exactly like when we use our eyes. It's a different spectrum of vision, but it's vision nonetheless. So it's phenomenal. I was blown away myself. Like, whoa, that's happening now. All right.
That's so cool. Did you ever do like sun gazing? Like looking at the sun at the sunset and sunrises? No. Oh no.
Well, I heard about that, and I believe that, as far as I know, that's a recommended practice.
For pineal gland, and
do this, for activation and just for connecting, and altogether being up at sunrise and connecting with the energy that helps the body to be healthier. And there's a general Ayurvedic belief that living within the natural rhythm of the of nature is better for your health and well-being. So, yeah. Oh, I stare at sunsets all the time because where I live, I always say, hey, it's better than Kansas. Kansas is known for wonderful sunsets, but here the type of sun, the colors and the vision right from my house is mind blowing. And I do sunrises for special occasions. I'm still kind of snoozing through sunrises, but very often I'm finishing the meditation right before the sunrise, so I'll stay up and take a look at the sun coming up, and then I'll sleep a little bit, and then I start the work that I do.
So how many hours do you sleep a night?
I don't know. It depends. I'm not really focused on sleep all that much. Sometimes during the celestial events like this, when you do an emotional processing and you are exposed to the energies and things are some noise here I'm hearing.
Sounds like a storm.
I know, that's not in my reality though. We're tapping into parallel reality.
Yeah, I mean, like today the weather was very strange, but
it sounded like someone was breathing very heavily into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, maybe there's a storm outside.
Sure.
I was actually going to the pool today, and then like looks like the storm was coming. I'm like, okay, I'm not going. Then I said going again. Then this looks like the clouds were coming. I'm like, I'm not going. And then they cleared up. So I think because of the eclipse, the weather it's clear now. Something was in it.
The weather is not necessarily natural anymore, and we know that, and it's a whole different subject here. But like I started saying that sometimes, and I always recommend the people who took sessions with me very often tell me that they have to sleep more, and that's natural because you're processing an energetic adjustment. The entire population is processing an energetic adjustment during celestial events. And so that's when people sleep more, feel more tired. A lot of people experience like that need to take afternoon naps when they never do. And it's very possible on Tuesday, say, when we have the solar eclipse. But generally, I get my 7-8 hours in portions. So
yeah, you don't get like one. Kind of like me with my cats. They wake me up.
Yeah.
I think I should start doing meditation like you.
Yes,
because
exactly.
They wake me up 4 o'clock one every morning. 4 o'clock. She like.
Oh, she's telling you like, hey, that's your Lyran or Lyran.
Actually, she's the other one, and then the other one comes. Yes, she's.
Yeah.
And now I have 3 cats outside, the feral cats, and now there's another one, black one, and I call him the Shadow because he's very scared. So now I basically have 3 inside, 3 outside. I'm like 6 cats. Like I'm like a cat lady.
Oh, we're turning into the cat lady.
Yes, I mean I love cats, but Sushi is the lion. He's the with like the lion, and the other one are all like black. So it's interesting. He's like the king, like the Lion King. But
the whole that whole Lyran collective is following you all the way here.
Yeah, the cats love me. I mean, all animals love me. But somebody said something. So in spirituality, one side doesn't fit all. No, it doesn't. Yes,
it absolutely does not fit all. Well, I don't think anything fits anything. Really, yeah. It's interesting because it's very individual for everyone. At the same time, like I said, we're all sharing consciousness all the time, and I think maybe this is why the field of consciousness and the field of knowledge and the field of experience is so rich, because we're all feeding into it, not only receiving from it simultaneously, but also all feeding into it our own individual experiences. But there is such a thing as the shared field of knowledge and consciousness that humanity carries, or humanity is living within. So and that expands into higher dimensional shared consciousness, where the races are aware that they're sharing consciousness. Humanity is sharing consciousness, but we're not fully aware of that. Majority of people think that they're super just separated within their own individual reality, but that's not true. But the more advanced you are as a race, as a civilization, the better you understand that everything is shared. We'll all feed in that quantum field of information, simultaneously receiving from it and sharing information and knowledge all across galaxies, really. So when you get the whole big picture, it's really fascinating.
So, lady, when you work with different clients and working with the removing the negative entities, and
Mm.
have you had any, or like galactic connections? Have you had any like surprises lately? Because we are moving as a whole humanity, as a consciousness, where you like, oh, I never had interactions with this race or this kind of
Yeah.
beings. Anything new?
The new thing that I started observing recently was seeing how many other higher dimensional races incarnated into the Anunnaki race before they actually went to Earth. Because the Anunnaki race was considered developing race, a developing world, and so similarly as we have different cosmic races incarnating into human or contributing their DNA into the humans, it's the same exact way with the Anunnaki race. That was a surprise for me, just to find that, although that makes perfect sense if you think about it. Yeah, and I also encountered a type of being just yesterday or the other day. I encountered the type of being that I've never worked with, that I had to look for the habitat for it, because I've never seen that kind of before. And wait, there was something else I was just thinking. Yeah, well, I forgot. So, sometimes it's just,
I
I just
ask you
forgot
about
the third
like
one.
the entities, or like any new entities or any new beings.
Oh, yeah. So I experienced a new type of entity, and I don't really know how to describe it until I work a little more with it. Then I would describe it. Right now, I just can say that this week I saw the kind that I have never seen before. But I also realized, that was shown through my work, that a lot of entities that are living inside people's fields, especially if they came from outside of Earth, they are unable to get out. So they just move from one human to the next, because of the quarantine. It's like the Earth is surrounded by that, so they cannot get out, and nothing can get in. Nothing new can get in, but the old ones cannot get out either. And so my understanding is that I was granted a permission to transport these out of this density, so that without the permission to return, and well, that's held around Earth, but the ones that are already here, they can't get out. So I kind of felt privileged in a way. They're very happy. They would express that, whoa, finally, finally, I'm so glad that now I can get a permission to get out. And we have to really escort it. So me and the higher self team that works with me assist and escorting these entities out of not only human bodies and fields, but out of human reality, out of Earth reality altogether. So that's a new realization for me that kind of came recently as well.
So I have two questions for you. When you, so like, let's say you go to the supermarket, or I don't know, you just going to get coffee or something. I don't know if you drink coffee,
I
but
don't do
okay,
coffee.
but you going to have tea or meet with a friend. You like in a
Right,
public place, not in your house.
right.
So you going and you see, do you see like, like sometimes like those mediums, like medical mediums, that they can see like that something is not right, or like those entities around people, or you have to have a permission, like somebody has to come to you and ask you for assistance, like your client? Because recently somebody was upset that like somebody did the reading on them, and then they didn't give them permission. So I was like,
Yeah,
do we need to give permission to people
yeah.
read
No,
us?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's considered, in our field, in this profession, it's considered unethical to read people without their permission. So I actually made an agreement with my own vision, I guess. I don't really see what's up with people when I'm in public. sometimes it's so obvious that it's so obvious that you don't have a choice but looking at it that you see it. But I would not go to the person and be like, oh, I need to help you. You know, that is a violation of free will. If they want to get assistance, they will reach out. I also don't work with people whose partners, let's say, or friends are saying, oh, you know, I think that my friend needs some help. I say no until your friend reaches out themselves. I'm not working with anyone without their awareness or their permission, because that's a violation of that rule. But yeah, sometimes, especially if at the beginning of when I was just starting the meditations and when I did not quite have the control over my vision, I'd go into a store and I would see something in every person. It was like walking through a zoo. It was insane. Just be like, oh, I would be looking away and closing my eyes, be like, oh, I can't handle, I cannot see, I cannot look at all that. And so that was the point when I asked. I said, I do not need to see all this because it's distracting and it's disturbing, and I asked for my vision to be available to me only by choice and only when I'm doing the work. So now that's where my vision is. Yeah, but it's possible. People do see, and do try to assist each other without permission, which is unacceptable. It's considered unacceptable.
Okay, and so my other question is, when you are doing the meditation and you do working with the clients, when you are in your, you know, whatever you need to be, so you have to be like in a space of non-judgment and no attachments, kind of to see, you know, because you may go to places that you've never been before, right? So you have to like kind of clean yourself completely.
Yeah, you have to go first. I do remote part of the work before I have breakfast, before I give myself a chance for my brain to wake up and start thinking in 3D terms. I literally wake up, just clear my body, and then I do that first part of the session in the morning. So you have to be in a state of complete neutrality, and so that you can enter the space where all knowledge and all vision is acceptable for you. So, and also that you can work with people whose stories are disturbing, whose entities are aggressive, so that you can be in the space of unconditional, just observer state and very neutral, and just talk to the entities or go through whatever you're going through with the clients without getting emotionally distressed, disturbed, or involved in any way. So yeah, getting yourself into the state of neutrality and unconditional observer space, that's the most important thing. And then I also I'm almost out of body when I'm doing this, because I'm doing a lot of remote functions at the same time. So the first part of the session, I'm still talking, using my body, while I'm simultaneously processing a lot of information. So I have this multidimensional brain function that can do many things and look at many things at the same time. But I am keeping myself partially in the body while partially in the field, so that I can perform all these functions. So yeah, that's me.
Did you ever came across like light language? I was just interviewing this my friend Lisa, and she does the light language. Did you ever came across?
Well, when I channel the beings that come in for activations, it is light language. It feels like music. It feels like it's telepathic interaction. It feels like when you hear music, you get a certain feeling, right? That feeling is what I do my best to translate into language, so that I could speak and share that with the client who is listening in 3D, obviously, right? And their mind is receiving that message. But it does feel like music. It does, well, because the the races that we work with all interact telepathically. Light language, where it's in sound and frequency, it's the way of speaking that they don't necessarily have to use. They use it just so that others can hear them, or human beings can process it. I'm under the impression that it's not necessary at all. You just get the telepathic feeling, because telepathy is like the universal language of all galaxies. Everything outside of 3D is telepathic. Even a lot of people in this density are becoming telepathic, including myself. All of the interaction with animals is telepathic too. You know, the ones who do not have the ability to speak, or did not develop the focus, communicational focus with language, or that link between communication and language as being the only expression form. These people are able to be telepathic as well. A lot of autistic kids are telepathic. A lot of nonverbal children or grown-ups are telepathic. So that's quite available to human beings as much as the galactic beings too.
So I have another question. So do you have any tips for us, like, you know, transitioning to 5D? You know, I mean, you've worked with so many different beings, with so many different people. Do some issues overlap? I'm sure they do with your clients. Like, what are our struggles, and how can we, you know, help ourselves? Is there any tips?
Joy is direct line into 5D. So I would give you an example. Instead of saying, oh, I have to do something, you switch it to, I get to do that thing. And that's exactly how you switch frequency. And so that's the difference between a 3D approach and a 5D approach, for example. But finding as much space within yourself that you can fill in with joy would give you access to like this 5D state of consciousness, because 5D is not a location, it's a state of consciousness. I recently was listening to the program on Gaia TV about the super soldiers, and the Randy Weidenheimer, I can't pronounce his name, sorry, Randy, but he was expressing that even in combat, the much higher rate of survival is with those who go into combat in the joyous, lighthearted state of being.
That's why they sing many times. Yes, they like.
Yeah, even in combat. So if these people in combat are capable of maintaining their frequency or their state of mind in the space of lightheartedness and joyfulness, I mean, that is a contradiction in terms, right? Combat versus joyfulness. But if they are capable of doing that, we in our everyday 3D blah blah life, you know, we definitely are able to do that too. So that's the main thing, you know. And then excitement, proactive excitement, like, I'm so excited. Proactive excitement gets you into higher frequency state of being, but to sustain that long term, to really embody, we require peacefulness. And so now at this time right now with the solar eclipse, we're talking about embodiment, the true embodiment of the state of being that was not really available to us before. This is the main question that people ask that come to me and that come to other people. How do I sustain? I'll go into meditation, I feel amazing, I come back out, and I'm, you know, pooped out in a couple of hours. What happens? How to sustain that state. So that state is more and more available. The more work you do, the more you connect, the more you're able to hold that connection continuously. So that's the next level of embodiment. The next level of embodiment of the higher self into this vehicle, into this density, is what's happening right now on Earth. And you're going to see more and more people representing that, really. So you will just look at them and be like, how come, all this is happening, but they're untouched? Because they're carrying that frequency. Even if something comes up in their lives, there's still the consciousness state, the emotional state is still untouched. So that's the next level of embodiment, really carrying your higher self state of being within your 3D reality. That's the connection into 5D and above too.
How about the people, like, they you say joy, finding excitement, like they hate their job, they hate their life, they hate maybe they're not happy with the way they look, like with everything, that like I know some of these, they just like so unhappy. So like what do we do? Is this are we supposed to help them, or like
time to wake up? These people are waiting for crisis that's going to kick them in their butts, so that they have no choice but to make changes. If the person is in that state of being, enduring that state of being is not beneficial to anyone. And so that's only going to get louder and louder and louder until they have no other choice except to make changes. And so that's awakening through crisis, which unfortunately is very common to humanity. Human beings hold on to their discomfort for as long as they can because they feel that that's safety of some sort. That is absolutely untrue, unfortunately. But a lot of people nowadays able or understanding that discomfort is an indication that change is required. And so a lot of people are going for change before discomfort gets out of hand, really. Out of hand meaning, well, you got 3 months to live. Oh my God, so now I'm gonna start looking for the meaning of life. Before that, I spent 50 years doing nothing. So no, it's discomfort means that it's time to awaken. It's time to make changes towards a different type of life, a different type of state of being. That's all.
And life will give it to you. And I tell you, something funny happened to me. So my friend was telling me, like, I think for a year, sign up for Pilates with me. You're going to love it. She just retired, so she was a teacher.
Right.
Sign up for Pilates. I'm like, I don't have time. I've been teaching for the last year in free schools, getting up at 5 in the morning, really 4 in the morning because of my cat. So I'm like, okay, one day I will get it and like go for trial. So finally, a month ago, it was a mystery. I woke up in the morning and I had pain.
Your back hurt?
No, actually in my collarbone, here and here, like I dislocated. So I went to the doctor. He says, what did you do? What sport do you do? I said, nothing. I went to bed like this. I think maybe my cats did some. I don't know. He says it's impossible. So he sent me for physical therapy. I did go, and it was like, okay. I'm like, you know what? Let me try this Pilates. Go for free class. I went last week. I love it. I signed up. I'm going unlimited now. I want to go. I'm so sore. I'm like, I want to go twice a day. And I'm like, see, this is what happened. She says, I've been telling you for a year. And I'm like, why I didn't go? I'm like, I love it so much. See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you
well,
get
Pilates, it. I had significant back problems. Pains for years since I remember myself, really. Pilates, well, not only like changing the state of mind, but on the physical plane, Pilates was what helped me with back problems significantly back when I was still in New York City. And life will give it to you that if there's an idea and a thought that you want to do something, but you're avoiding it and avoiding it and avoiding it, but the soul or the bigger picture there is going to kick you into gear, so you have no choice. Yeah.
So
and
that's just funny.
That's a wonderful choice, that's a wonderful thing to do. Yeah, Pilates.
No, I love it. And I'm like, why I didn't go before? She's been telling me all the time. I'm like, see, I guess now is the time. But yeah, I love it. But anyway, so I'm feeling much better. How about destiny? Do you believe in destiny?
No.
No. So there's no like, there is no like path or something like?
Well, there is a path, but a path has infinite amount of variations and deviations and choices. And so you kind of have a path, but you don't have to follow it. Mm-hmm. That's what majority of people do still in this, on this planet. You have certain predispositions, you have certain, desires of the soul or mission of the soul. So if you find that, that's when life gets better. Or when you find that, that's when life gets better. And so you're fulfilling the desire of the soul. But a lot of people don't do that. And so they come in and they die miserable. And that's just, that's just another typical type of experience, typical for the human race type of experience. But I don't believe in destiny. There is definitely genetic predisposition to things. There's definitely a recreation of conditioning. And so awakening really is, like we spoke at the beginning, we talked at the beginning about this, that awakening is really recognizing what's creating your reality, what patterns you're matching, and then changing out of that by choice deliberately. Once you become aware of that, you can teach yourself in meditation once again how to do things differently, step by step. 6 months to 12 months, you're a different person, or you will be experiencing a different reality in such a short period of time. You don't need 30 years of therapy to go through this. All you need to is become aware and then chip at it little piece at a time, and then that's it. Reality changes because we become conscious, and we also record the new conscious signature into the subconscious, and that becomes the mechanism that is creating our life's experience. Things are much simpler than we like to think here on this planet, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. My grandmother, my Polish grandmother, always used to tell me, like, the truth is right there, right in front of your eyes, but can you see it? It's like, it's very simple. And I'm like, I didn't understand, as a child. But like now I'm like, yeah, grandma was right. Because, I'm about food, but now I have a lot of friends who are breatharians. They saying that they don't need food. They calling on fooding. They don't need food. They living like, they really like going for like these fast. I'm gonna do some experiments now because, I'm at home. So what do you think of this? I mean, I know in other dimensions when we different bodies, like me and Cassiopeians, like, I'm like transparent, translucent, but how about here on this earth? What do you think about going breatharian?
I think that's okay. When you reach a certain frequency, when your body is in a certain level of consciousness, which is frequency, when that frequency reaches a certain level, you no longer need food or as much food because you literally are self-sustained or self-sustainable energetic organism. And so you can receive that from inspiration, from your inner state of being, from sunlight, from air, all of that, right? It's all energy, and it's an exchange of energy. So it's possible. When people do it before they reached that state of consciousness, I think it could be very, I don't know, wary, but it could be detrimental to the physical form because the physical form needs, unless you're in that state of being, the physical form needs sustenance. I can tell you that I experienced a few times in my life so far that when I would be in the state, let's just take an example. When you're in the state of highest inspiration, right, in full passion, and you are creating something. Let's say you're creating your art, or you're writing your book, or you're in such state, you cannot possibly eat at that time.
You forget about food.
You forget about
everything, yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're so energized, and you don't want to sleep, and you don't want to eat, right? So that's where you tapped into that state of consciousness that allows you to live without food and sleep. But unless you're in that state of consciousness, just go in there because it's popular, I don't think that that's a very good idea. And of course, I'm not saying that, well, if it's something that you want to experiment with and play with, yeah, by all means. But I watched the program on these people. There's a program on Gaia TV also about that. And some were successful with it, and some got very ill, and some could not get through it. And there's a whole documentary on this movement, and so you could check that out. What I think about it, I think that if it's your natural, if you arrive there naturally and you observe that you do not need sleep, or you eat less and less, and you are in great shape and energy, and you maintaining your body weight and everything, go for it, you know. But a lot of people on this planet, also a lot of people who just start learning about spirituality, they take things backwards. Like, oh, let's give up all of the possessions or let's resist all of the desires because that's bad, or they'll make me spiritual. It's the other way around. When your consciousness reaches a certain level, you don't want these things that people are trying to, oh, if I stop doing this, then I'm super spiritual. No, it's the other way around. You get into the state of consciousness where you're no longer a match to these desires, you're no longer interested in the same old things, or you arrive in this space where you don't really feel like you need to own anything anymore, you know, and so that the desire to have possessions goes away naturally. It's the other way around. See, so I think with not eating, it might be very much the same thing. That's my personal opinion.
No, I mean, I agree, and I agree with all these diets, you know, different trends, and, you know, it's like, again, not looking outside, but looking within, because there, like we said in the beginning, there is no one fit for all, right? So
right, yeah,
follow your own, whatever is serving you at the moment, and things may change. So what works for you today may not work for you tomorrow. I know that we've been talking almost an hour, so at the end, I want to know what's going on with you. Do you have any special events going on? Please, can you also tell people again what kind of sessions maybe you offer? And I just love your videos, like on YouTube. I can't wait to watch the next one and like learn what, like, you know, what like journeys you had with people. Is just so cool. Like, I just love it. It's like reading like a fairy tale book.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very often the sessions are better than fairy tales.
No, it's you cannot come up with this kind of stuff, and I really could use a little assistance there as far as creating videos of visuals, because me just describing it does not quite do it. Oh, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, but I search, and there are no visuals of that because not very many people have access to these things. But we just started. So on the new stuff, we just started, or Team Light, Rion started this new fascinating series, the Cosmic Surfer series, and I was very excited to have recorded with him. We recorded 3 episodes so far, and there'll probably be more where I can actually talk about stuff that excites me, the different cosmic races, what they do. So 1 episode was already published, and 2 more coming up. I started recording with Spy TV finally, so I'll have my own channel soon. Cool. That's subscription based, but it's only like $5 a month. I mean, it's less than a cup of coffee, 1 cup of coffee per month, you know. So, but here's what happened with that. I went there and I thought, I really need to kind of bring it down so more people can understand what I'm talking about. So I started talking about awakening and metaphysics and awakening symptoms and all of the like mundane kind of stuff, and it was just not going anywhere. I kept stuttering. I could not get through those episodes, and it's going to be like an episode per week every every week an episode. So we were recording a bunch of them at the same time. And I told her, Suzanne Ross, I told her, I said that I just don't know, it's just not going. I'm not feeling it. And she said, I invited you not because you could share this old information. A lot of people teach about these things nowadays. It's beginner level. A lot of people can teach that. She said, I invited you because you have access to stuff that people don't really access very frequently, and I want you to talk about that. And so the whole thing like rearranged itself, and so we're going to, next week we're starting all over again, because all these episodes were like, oh, I cannot do that. I cannot talk about the old stuff anymore. I want to talk about what I'm passionate about. And so next week we're starting all over. And she's just going to ask me questions about the visions, about the exploration of multidimensional, otherworldly stuff, about the supernatural abilities, about all those things that make me so excited. And so that's going to come out at some point, I guess, if we record it in July, so probably mid-July or beginning of August, the episodes are going to start rolling out on that channel, and that's sci-fi.tv, which is a TV network, really. And then there's just so much recording and sharing happening lately. So you coming on board at this time, too, is very exciting.
I would love to have you and Rion and Alexander, like one time, the three of you.
Well, everyone is, we've been wanting to do that for a long time by now, but it just never comes together because each one has their own stuff going on, and so much is going on. But
I know.
Yeah,
when the timing is right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will have I love his bracelets.
Yay!
Yeah. So
very nice. Oh, and for you, I wanted to mention, every time I look at your images that you just post on Facebook, the berries, the greens, the leaves, the foods, it's breathtaking. So I wanted to ask you, have you considered making an exhibition of that? Like the photography, just those, like recently the cherries, right?
No,
the pictures are, not only they're exciting, they're colorful, they're inspiring, they're delicious.
They were just done with cell phone. They were not even done with good camera. But
so take it, put it in the frame, and have an exhibition. New York City could use a little bit of this lightness and joyfulness and the colors. Oh my God! It literally, every time I see you post, it excites me so much. So I'm just throwing this out there for you.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of, that's a good idea. Now I have a lot of time, so I'm going to be doing a lot of food and make the food. Yeah, so it's because before I was so busy with all these jobs, but now I'm like free, so.
And there are also establishments, I remember, in New York City, like restaurants or coffee houses or whatever, where you could have an exhibition, and then you could have that on their walls permanently. And so people will keep reliving that joy. The images that you produce just generate such incredibly joyful feeling. So yeah, consider that. That would be such a gift. Bringing that light, that brightness, that joyfulness to people. When they're not in New York, we have a lot of really sad people. Everything's gray, black. Bring some color in there. Bring some juiciness. Would be very nice.
I love nature, and I'm so excited because now I have my little garden on my deck, and I have today I had first tomato. I have all these different things growing. I'm so excited. Peppers and strawberries and blueberries are coming. So I love growing things.
Smiling tomato was very nice.
Yeah. I'm like, it's like the cutest. I didn't even know because the thing was underneath, and then I'm like, I knew it looked like a heart, but I'm like, wow, it's like a smiling heart. So first tomato of the season. So
well, cute. The sessions that I do, the main 3 different types are the medley session, where you just learn about your soul journey from cosmic to human, and with incarnations and the gifts and purpose and mission and an idea of the soul, or potentials that are shown that match in the present frequency the most. Then the quantum healing session is really a clearing session, clearing out energetics patterns, and or assisting to understand the patterns so you can clear them, and also clearing entity activity. And then there's a medley with the quantum healing, which does all of it, plus the activation into the next level and DNA as well, and then the channeling from the higher self. So that's the most popular one. And I'm quite booked, but yeah, there's always openings. And people are coming in with all kinds of strange requests lately. Like yesterday, I worked with the person. She wanted me to speak to her father-in-law who passed on recently. And she said that they used to watch my videos together when he was alive. And that it never occurred to them that she could work with me or anything like that. And as soon as I started thinking about him, he just showed right up. And so I had a very incredible interaction with him. And then she said he was saying he's traversing the galaxies. When he was passing out of the body, he was actually sharing that feeling. And then she said, well, now I want a session with you after we had that wonderful connection with this man. And he said he went right back to his spacecraft. And she said that for her it was kind of strange hearing all this, but as she watched more of my videos, that it makes more sense and stuff. So I'm totally connected with that person, and I'm we're gonna get more of him and more of his higher dimensional presence, I'm sure. It was just wonderful to feel to find that connection. So, and then people are reaching out, people whose children are not well, and I always say that when children are not well, we have to first work with the parents, because where did that come from, right? Like, aside from the regular sessions, the standard variety, I also am getting all kinds of customized offerings or requests. And so then I always work with each person just to create something for them within the means that I have, within what I can have, what I can offer. And so that's at IsabellaGreene.com. And if you're interested in having a session with me, you can just send me a session request form. I have a request a session form on each page there. Send me that, and we will start with the interview or getting to know each other, and then we will schedule the actual work. So that's the process.
So awesome. I really recommend it. Do it, like people do it, because you will love it. Like, you will be so surprised, and it's so great. And then of course you have so many videos that I love watching on YouTube, and you have your Facebook page. Are you on Instagram?
No, it just never went anywhere. I kind of I barely can keep up with one social platform.
Yeah, because then you have to respond. I know, it's like it takes a lot of time. So, and you're already so busy, so better put that energy towards your meditation and connecting right there. So, and we will share your information on different platforms. So
very nice, thank you. Yes. Thank you for that.
So anything at the end you want to finish up with the 5D and beyond for the viewers?
Well, we as a collective are moving into a whole different state of being. I feel very strongly, and a lot of other teachers and are sharing the same kind of feeling and information, that this particular time right now, that solar eclipse and the new moon, that is like a door that's open, or a gateway more like, that's open for us to really shift ourselves into the next space or next state of being. And it doesn't have to be huge. Take a little step, take a little different focus, take a different intention for yourself and anchor that. And the more you do, the better the life gets, and the more of us awaken, the more we assist the rest of the population and the rest of the planet in this beautiful journey that we're on. I think that I hear that the exhilaration is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, that we're going to move faster and faster and process faster and faster. Like now is not fast enough, but now, while it's still relatively gentle, take advantage of this time within this energetic corridor and do something. Just set a different intention, shift your focus, move forward, embody that what is naturally and innately your own, the new human state.
Thank you so much. And yes, I'm sure I'm going to have you again and again because I just love talking to you. And yeah, so happy eclipse, everyone. Yes, and I'm going to post this on my YouTube and on my website, olenkoskitchen.com. And if you want to learn more about healthy food, you can find the recipes there. So thank you so much for taking the time, from your very busy schedule, for talking to me and to the viewers. And thank you so much. I didn't see all the comments, but then we will answer the comments later to everybody, because it's very hard to see them. So thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Alexandra.
Yes, bye.
Nice
Bye, Isabella. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hold on, where is the...